Hello, everyone, and good morning. It's 11 o'clock on Monday. This is the Neutral Zone. Welcome. Hi, everyone. This is Jason Schwartz, your host here at the Neutral Zone, Maui, neutralzone.com. We are 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui. Simulcast on Akaku Maui Community Media TV, Channel 55. You will find everything up on youtube.com, and you will also be able to see it at akaku.org. They're going to have some selected shows there, some kind of a showcase directory, which is great. Many of you who have been following the show know that on the website, right under the opening section that explains the reason for the show, and there's some advertising sponsors. Please participate with them happily. I'm sure you'll see. At this point, there are boxes of where things can be, and that's why this fledgling operation is going to go through some modifications and changes to grow our presence in the community. And so that's something that you'll be part of directly. For example, every time you see a show and like it or not like it, share it, please. If you're on social media, share it. But I don't think you're going to not like it, because what we do is we talk to people that are interesting and mostly fun. And if they weren't coming through the door as fun, someone's coming. What's going on, my friend?
No, keep talking.
We're good. Oh. So now you can.
There you go.
That's good?
Yes,
okay.
sir.
To me, that's interesting. That's up above the world so high. Okay. Anyway, I know that on the website there's a search engine. So you can search. If you put in the word Olowalu, OLOWALU, and hit search, you'll see what I see. In fact, let's do it together. My guest didn't make it today. I'll tell you about that on the ride here. But let's go to the Neutral Zone page. This was built for a computer, but also for the web. There's a big page, and you're going to see it on the screen, but on radio you can't see it. The logo comes in, the sound is off. See, we're a growing organization. When we have the money to pay the guy to put the search engine up here instead of down here, people will see it. But we are a fledgling organization, meaning we have more things to do than we have arms and legs or money to hire people. But that's where, when the guy that precedes me every week for at least 8 years here is David Packman. And on whatever day he's having a campaign drive to join his thing. So we could do the same, because we are the DreamMakers Foundation, Maui Arts and Music Association, people aligned in positive action, 501c3, chartered 1991. What was the purpose? To promote visual art, healing art, music, and culture, and educate people about environmental solutions and renewable energy technologies. That was 1991. And I got involved. That's a whole other story. But that's here now, and with what's going on, there's a lot. When you look at the shows, you'll look under the search engine, you'll see it also has Up Close and Personal, where I interviewed political candidates, not as a nonprofit, but as a citizen. Ariel's World, and interviews she's done and going to do again. Things I did here at Akaku with Live at 5 with Dana Fulton, who's now in charge of all programming, I think. And you'll look there, you'll see all these things and shows, and you can look by culture, environment. This was here really as a model, so that when someone will come aboard and be able to redesign, they'll expand and organize all these things and be able to access these shows. I put just up the name and a little description, but some of these shows are extraordinary. Like the show I did with Michael Smith. Who's he? Michael Smith was One of the main principal focuses in a movie called The Need to Grow, which many people saw free, some paid, for sure. Food Revolution Network had it on free a while, and it some ungodly number, many millions of people have seen it. And Michael had his place burned down in Montana. But what was he doing? Taking waste, green waste, and then processing it. Wait, that's not what he did. He took algae and he was processing that, and he created a biofuel that, when running a jet engine and taking that green waste, and by not adding oxygen in, they call it pyrolysis, they raise the temperature and be able to siphon off different chemicals and different phytoceuticals and lots of stuff at different temperatures that they can harvest and reuse. And the thing that remains is biochar, which holds carbon in the soil. I don't profess to be an expert, but I know how to hear and listen. And I've been doing it before it was fashionable. My background in the renewable energy business is another subject for another day. But this was an organized plan years ago, and now the guest that didn't show today, you've seen here before. He shared in a show with Lico Martin, and we talked about Oluwalu. That's why I'm having you take a look on the search engine there and pull up all the shows about Oluwalu. There was a People's Council of Maui thing that Akaku arranged with a group of people, Lico Martin, John Cruz, Kaio Martin Cruz, congratulations. And the Department of Health guy was there. Lauren Pang came to this thing, and there was another worker that worked in the environmental department. She was just watching. And then there were scientists and all kinds of explanations. And Eddie was, I felt like, one of the ringleaders who brought the scientists. You look at these shows and you'll see these. Akaku gave me the right to use it on this show to be able to share about this. So you'll see these on these shows with commentary from me. Remembering, we're a call-in, call-out talk show, which is an aspect that we haven't really explored, the call-out part. But that might have happened today with Edward Garcia. Edward Garcia, Living Earth Systems, has a farm just below the temporary toxic waste dump in Oluwalu. And through what I perceive as his team, they've done a lot of good, still doing a lot of good for survivors and folks from the West Side in housing, in agriculture, regenerative agriculture, and the whole form of living to get abundance out of what comes and was a wasteland. Anyway, if you look at the shows that we have, not only we have Oluwalu, but you might have been interested when Ariel interviewed Auntie Doll, or maybe you were interested when I was talking to a guy. He was the road manager for the Grateful Dead. Now he's this older guy. He was like my fourth show, Ron Fogel. The very interesting times that have been shared. Well, how about the harmonic convergence, where a big thing happened out in Haiku, and, well, we were there videotaping. Sometimes I look at these things and people say to me, you have unbelievable footage that really covers an amazing time on Maui. Yeah. Well, hopefully that's what this is doing. It's going to let you know how to go find it. You can go up on YouTube and you'll see things. If you put up Jason Schwartz, Maui, lots of stuff comes up. And before I even knew what channels were, I maybe have 3 or 4 with shows here and there, and some weren't, and I didn't really want to keep accumulating these political shows. It'll show people's, I want to say, how over time they thought about things, and over time they're on the opposite side, or, that kind of side. I don't want to get too much into long-term political things. But I have dozens of interviews up there of people that are in office and that you know well. I've had our guest last week, Paul O'Brien, who wrote Intuitive Intelligence and the Visionary I Ching, and he has a show for 40 years called Pathways, which you can find through divination.com, his nonprofit he set up after his incredible story and how he made something that wasn't good into something great. And that's a great story. That's a show to see. Look up and you put Paulo in there, or O'Brien, or Intuitive Intelligence, and all the shows where those were the key words. See, we need to fine-tune a lot of the things online, and you'll see there's a part in there for you. And as we're doing this, you're going to hear me probably talking about it. Take a look at that website. I'm going to take a minute. I was going to put in the word Oluwalu just to let you know in more detail about these shows. Let's see how I do here. Oluwalu. And hit done. And hit search. Select the category. We're going to let it go and do all categories. Come on, search. Yes. Solutions regarding the dump site. That was April 1st. Wow. And then we had them before, 226. And my own number. March 11th. That's so funny. You know, what's so funny is we do all these shows and we hope that people see them live or even call in because we would like input. That's the whole point. We're public access television. But public access is a two-way street, so I think the public wants to access with witness as we try to call out. We don't do it much, but when we do it, we're doing it with purpose. And so Edward Garcia, who is our guest, going to be here today, livingearthsystems.net. If you look at Instagram, you'll see a bunch of posts. And for the most part, I say for the most part, he'll tell you what he's been doing because he was, as I see it, the force behind this People's Council of Maui. And they wanted to show what was going on there and the toxicity happening and solutions to the ash and ways to do it. And he and a bunch of money behind it from concerned citizens, mostly him, some $40,000, put together a something to go to the council and the mayor, and it didn't get sidetracked. It was not read because the decisions, they'll tell why. They haven't told us, but our co-host Scott Bushnell, very smart, capable guy who also knows the system from having been part of it in different ways over these years. And, the EPA and FEMA control the area. And so our mayor can be as brave as he wants, but then there's no money, and the council has that same thing. And why we were asked, why was there activity to prepare Oluwalu to be a site or temporary site as somehow has been planned? But this is a long time. There's doing a lot of damage by what they're doing now. Eddie was going to give us an update on that, and I wanted to ask him about Bobby Kennedy, because we know Bobby Kennedy was an environmental lawyer. I'd like to know what things are going on there, because I hope they are going on there at some level. But if not, I thought that was really an important issue that we want to keep going on until we get the solutions to heal what's gone on in Lahaina, what's going on now in Oluwalu, and what's going to happen all the way wherever those trucks go, and whenever they start carting it to central Maui, if they ever get full rights to a site that is going to solve all the problems here, or they use eminent domain. It's a crazy subject because many of us will say box it up, box it up. Whatever you do, first box it up. Oh no, that controlled from somewhere other than here, and it's hard for me to say that because I haven't spoken to anyone directly, but I could tell you that they're still doing what they're doing, taking things to Oluwalu with this ash. And I shouldn't be calling it toxic ash, it's ash. What it is, when you measure things in parts per trillion, and you understand what this is and what it means, you'll see a show in there. You know, I interviewed Donnie Brown, Federal Reserve Brown. He lived in New Zealand, and a closed down Dow plant that used to make Agent Orange, which is dioxin. They buried some 10,000, I don't remember the number, huge number of barrels of this stuff. And then they built whoever did, built a housing development over it, and birth defects and all kinds of problems and seepage into the water, seepage into they used it and sprayed the whole country. You know, we are fortunate that we're still alive after all the abuses that happened through accidents here on Maui. Was it an accident that they stored those chemicals after they were outlawed, that they could use them over time as long as they had them, so there was large storage here of pesticide, west side, and remember when there was having an algae bloom, and remember all the things. Well, wait a minute. Why don't we, someone somewhere is not putting this all together. Oh, that's not true. Wait. On page 3 of the Department of Energy's annual report, I read where they talked about algae bloom in West Maui because of the chemicals coming down from the fields. So I always find it intriguing, very intriguing, that we report things in the news and then they go away. We report things more and they go. If they don't get like the bloodbath was too much or so many people, let us show you these people dying and suffering. We want you to know how horrible it is, and we want you to fight so they stop doing that. And then there's the other side that says, well, look at these pictures of what the slaughter happened and why and now we even just want the bodies. We also want the live people now. And what we're doing, they justify. All that is so big, so powerful. They cover it. All your emotions get all stirred up. And not that those things aren't super important, but what if our focus was on solutions? What if our focus was on things going on here, things that we could do? Well, my next guest, Eddie, I like to think he pointed out about the Oluwalu problem and the toxic ash and gathered for you, the people of Maui, the People's Council of Maui, different scientists and different things that made the ideas that they put into the hands of the mayor and the council and way before any of this moving thing started, you know. So I commend him. He's doing things to help generate out of the earth and show people that. That whole thing with Michael Smith and Need to Grow, that was a great show. Or I interviewed Ted Bowman. What's that? Water from air. There are a couple of people doing that now on the island, but what does all that mean? Where and how? We have different shows about different technologies, about different people that are very interesting. Some have money and use it, and they have amazing power through the ability to have an idea and gather a team, and they have the resources to also help fund some of these things. And we have those kind of people on. We have all kinds of people. I know that what you see me doing here is part of a plan. This is really like the beginning to have you maybe realize that's just me as the master host, if you will, showing the science going on and the music going on and the art. Because Mama Presents, Maui Arts and Music Association Presents, was started to showcase visual art in Lahaina and music, the Hawaiian music and the culture, the other musics going on and cultures from here in America and around the world, and be able to have from that a number, a third, still of the money coming in to go directly into environmental projects. Another third to run this whole thing, an organization. That means to be able to all the techno. And the third to go to the artists and musicians. So this plan, again, that's for another day. If you look at the MauiArtsAndMusic.org website, from there you'll see it links to these TV shows here. But we need a webmaster to help redesign it and make it even friendlier and make you better understand what you're looking at. And you can imagine, sponsorship happens. I can't go around and do it. I'd much rather have a team and a crew approach the airlines, approach the hotels, do cash and trade, food, and wait, we can build lodging. We have a lot of possibility to be able to do things, or we don't really want to do things. We want to point it out and align things that are here to accomplish these things. And where do we get the money to do all these things we're talking about? Music and art. Remember, a third of everything we create going into this fund to be able to create and finance, if you will, all kinds of things for environmental solutions and be an example to the world. You know, these words are hollow. I didn't particularly at all want a situation like happening in Lahaina and the West Side to happen, but it's affected the whole island. It's affected all of the Hawaiian chain. You know, if you look at all the things going on in the world, we saw Miss Maui Teen, all them, and first place and second place became first place. Maui is a place with tons of talented people, and their art and their music has been a rich ingredient. And like I was talking, this show that I'm doing here is like to be a boilerplate to spin off a David Gallagher and a comedy show and a talk show, to spin off Scott Bushnell. It's almost like we're watching the Jeffersons that spun off from All in the Family and all the TV shows of yesteryear, you know. Well, we're a family here. And imagine, please, the numbers we're talking, how many people that already are in a legacy position. That means people that already, maybe they're older musicians, maybe they're from here, I'm going to make names up here that aren't so made up. Maybe Mick Fleetwood would like to come and play or speak or do something here. And all that we're going to do, we're going to dedicate just like we're doing, because musicians and artists don't want a pay cut of a third. But what if we could create more of what we're doing and fill the different auditoriums, both local and small venues and large venues, and make it where people coming know that money's going to save and solve masterful level problems, that they're enjoying music and enjoying art and learning about culture, and their involvement will create the resources that we need. Before, it was just going to create these resources that we need, but not need. Now we have the need. And with all the holes that happen through different kinds of help, super numbers of people, way more than people are acknowledging, I'm afraid, are struggling. I heard a gal that I know for a long time, Ellen, anyway, got a cottage in Wailuku for $2,000 a month. I said, wow. Yeah, FEMA money and all the money paying for these things have driven rents up all over the island. Any kind of moratorium of what you can't do and can do isn't maybe a gray line, but the people that are affected by these things are very aware of these lines and are making moves that are bringing the climate and the prices up. And it's majorly disrupted our whole world. And on an island, maybe you have to think differently than on the mainland. Maybe when there's waste being moved and what it does, these things are important and they should be addressed differently. But again, see how, from where I sit, the money that we bring in is going to be going out. A third of it, right immediately, going out to these environmental projects. And I can show you and name them. They're on the website and more to come, right? You'll see. But we also want to link nonprofits in different ways that you will see. So the use of all these different nonprofits and for-profits is that other third. When you don't have greed and I have expenses and a car and I'm a happy guy. Why? Because I've learned to live lightly by the nature of having lived lightly, working hard on Maui to deliver a freedom of this. Akaku has been virtually my television home, internet and all that stuff. When you wonder what is going on, I've been doing this a long time. You don't get a name like Team Aloha at iCloud without having been around a while, because people grabbing those kind of names. Or, the Maui Arts, MauiArtsAndMusic.org. Wow. Or the one that I thought was so interesting is Dream Maui. It was DreamMaui.net, DreamMaui.org. That's where we're going to be building visually. Again, we means as this team will grow and sponsors that. See, that's where money goes. Not to me, but to make these things happen. That's where we're going to put the matrix, which shows this Dream Maui. What can happen if our goal is peace and integration and use of our resources and regenerate and all that stuff. All this is a long time vision. And sometimes vision needs the right time, the right circumstance, the right people. And I believe that's what this show and some of the people you've been seeing on our shows, that's what this is about. If I had the management skills to put this all together without help, I would have already been doing it. But what kind of resource? We have shows could create a podcast, a link and network. We need money to do that, right? Right. To build the website, we need that. To be able to be... I went, for example, to be able to take another nonprofit. Here's one. The Maui Live Poets. They get together and think to them. 25 years ago, Melinda Gahn, G-O-H-N, Melinda, and her hubby, Gary Kubota, her sweetheart, and, well, we know that name. He's the guy that did a whole musical, and, that Gary Kubota. And now other people there, Bear Wilson, and Frank Rich, who's been Wide Garcia as his nom de plume for years, and Tim Kelly. Who are these people? These are people at the core of a 25-year-old growth of the International Martin Luther King peace poem, which is about 200,000 lines right now and growing, and they're going to want to be presenting it again at the UN. And one of my friends, I told him I was going to speak. He already got in touch with them, so maybe he'll be sponsoring. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll help them. Money. See, people do things. He's got other things going on. He's one of these guys I told you. Has the money, he can do a lot more with money. So we need money too. So we just don't speak about it a lot because I believe, we welcome donations. But through doing music shows and art shows and getting the public to understand what we're doing, where they go and have fun and realize they're really making a concrete difference in the future of good things happening here on Maui. We can label, and that's what we're doing. And that's what this show has been about. It really got started when they said, you know, we got a radio station here, and there's this spot, 11 o'clock, and we're going to have some people, and so 11 o'clock Monday. How's Monday? Okay. Monday sounds good. I know that we're not really promoted specifically, and unless there's a reason, seeing it live isn't as important to me. Maybe our guests, if they want to have their people seeing them live, and they'll promote that. But after the show is done, I should have written a contract that said, look, if you're on my show, you need to show me that you've shared it with 50 people with a link and told them to watch it and share it. But I don't do that. So I haven't been paid for shows. Once in a while, someone gives me a donation. That's nice. But we're going to formalize it in different ways with other people other than me. I'm the product, if you will. Anyway, at this Martin Luther King peace poem thing, which was Saturday, Davo, who was the artist, lived in Lahaina, lost everything in Gallery, where he was at there, Gallery Beale. Everything he's done for more than 25, 35 years. Wonderful guy. Gave me a painting that he was going to give to the mayor, but the mayor didn't come. So he said, oh, you're the guy. You get it. It's a beautiful big heart. He used to do things, I want to say, like Peter Max. Davo was his own, and is, you'll see his stuff, his own unique artist. He shows, but he has a style. Don't exactly know how to describe it, but he would. In fact, he has a book coming out, and we're going to have him on the show, and we'll look at his book, because all the paintings are gone, all the other ones from before. That's just horror. And think of all those artists, right? Well, years ago, when I talked about a gallery without walls, showcasing Maui artists and musicians through a central portal, and before that it was on CDs. Why did that never happen? Well, we don't worry about that. That's a story for other shows. But it can happen now. It's going to happen by those out there who listen and people that we speak to that see this vision is large, and that there are millions and billions of dollars that can and will be spent by art, people purchasing art and music and coming to shows and enjoying things all over the world, from all over the world. Some of you may touch your feet on Maui shores, and some of you may not. But you know what's going to happen? You're going to be helping rebuild here and be that global example place of things, and help bring up the standard and quality of living for local community that needs your support. Needs your support by buying music and buying art. Needs your support by, you want to do a movie? Come on here. The guy that's now our film commissioner, Tracy Bennett, had left for another opportunity for himself. And Brian Cohn, who is a really brilliant writer and director of a couple of movies. One was called Get a Job, with now passed away but great guitar player and singer Willie Kaili'i, and Eric Gilliam. The cast was filled with all kinds of people that if you were from Maui, you saw them, and it was great. Brian's now film commissioner. So if you're around the world and you want to do a movie, you can help us by coming and arrange and doing a movie here in Maui and employing our people and using and sharing what we're doing here. So we hope to have TV series that are going to be sharing and doing here that show us to the world, that are, I want to say, science and fiction, but not as science and nonfiction, along with the fiction that Brian did with that movie. He did another movie called Kuleana that I think it's been renamed Maui, which is out there, There's all kinds of talents. There's someone who has a show up now that's involved actually here at our station, who has a comedy show. And I remember Chino when he was just beginning thinking about doing comedy. He's always been a funny big guy, nice guy. We have a beautiful community here, and we want to share it with the world. And when the world sees our community also has people who want to help what we're doing. I am not opposed if Billy Joel comes here and wants to get up and sing one of the songs with me or with someone else here that we're doing things. Why? Because we are looking for a legacy. We want to create something that shows that musicians and artists together can create solutions through the power of the incredible power of media. Taylor Swift, first of all, you're welcome if you feel so inclined to give us a financial leg up, but just be part of what we're doing here. There's so many good people that come through here, but also there are people all around the world involved in culture and arts all around the world. So we hope to spark that by showcasing from here and having this website that's really becomes a directory, if you will, of and linking of nonprofits like Friend Genesis, who has a Taryn Young Foundation. They have a teenage youth shelter for troubled situations like temporary. And when that all happens, well, it has to be coordinated and publicly seen and shown. When the Maui Live Poets do the Martin Luther King Peace Poem Awards, it has to be seen. That's what Akaku does. Well, we do some of the conversations with some of the people that do these things. We need to stand on our own. And as a for-profit, we're not for-profit. No, what's non-profit is the nonprofit that's going to do these environmental solutions and that can build. What if every time a realtor did a deal, they said they were going to give a percentage to, I fear feedback. They gave a percentage to the environmental programs. Think of, that's going to be from buyers and sellers who see what we're doing, especially now in this climate of every buyer has to have a signed representative. There's a whole potential here of, remember our guest from last week talking about karma coins. We have resources of people here, mentors, who, with goodwill, may be helping actualize some of the things that just need more arms and legs that already have experience to help and get involved. So I'm very encouraged. When Eddie Garcia said he couldn't make it, I checked in with our major co-host, Scott Bushnell. Scott's going to be here next week updating you on some of the things that we've been talking about offline that we're going to be talking about and bringing up here on the show. I know that he couldn't make it today. He's busy doing all kinds of things too. He's a terrific guy, I must say, I've never really been very personal in getting personal and knowing people over the years that intimately, but I have gotten to know some guys through this Mankind Project, which again, you'll look on there, you'll see a couple of times I've interviewed people from the groups who were very interesting people. But that there's tremendous resources here that can do things by moving a little shoulder or point us or give us access to people that have resources and would love to help, whether it's money or whether it's they have the skills or the technicians or the whatever. Think of how many jobs can be created with a focus on creating solutions for our island and our world, and be able to have our people here being part of it and leading the way. I see it as a way to elevate the Hawaiian culture throughout the world and showcase the amazing culture that it is and the amazing culture that we on Maui and that aloha spirit that has been, I want to say, it hasn't been forced on me. It's like a glow that comes from here. I think it's just a spiritual mecca of all kinds of people and all kinds of ideas. And I've run into some political, I want to say, roadblocks. I was never a political animal, but things could have happened sooner, but it might not. It's like wine. Things could have happened sooner, but then it would have just been ripple wine. But now, by letting the years go by, we didn't plan on making brandy, but we're now at a point where every sip of what we're going to do will have that much more meaning because the world has gotten so screwed up. You allowed to say screwed up? I guess. I don't like saying it. I would love to only talk about good, fair weather things, and I try to be positive. And I'm blessed. I have loved living on Maui. I've just really found it to be amazing. Now, some of you are saying, "Oh, you're talking too long." Yeah, I guess so. I think that it was important that I get this laid out somewhat, so you know that we're going to be doing a series of shows. You don't know where we're taking it yet, but that's the great part. We are taking it, and these ideas are long been baking. When we infuse it with people in our community and create things in our community, some are going to be going out and getting sponsors. Some are going to be cash. Some are going to be trade. We're going to be able to employ people, well, but in ways that they already know, in music shows, in art shows with a purpose. Then we're going to be able to share the people that are going to be helping with the technology. And this is just an exciting time because we're going to be able to integrate who and what we are and launch into a global positioning through a horrible catastrophe and suddenly global focus on Maui and Lahaina and all this. I didn't create toxic ash, but I have enough, hopefully, wisdom to focus on things that we can do. Even we can create the money to even to override some of these, we believe, not so great decisions for the long-term future, override them by having businesses emerge out of resources because we're able to share and fund technologies to find solutions. Just like we want to do with Michael Smith and the need to grow and growing these technologies that can help save not only here locally but all over the world. That's who and what we are. We are looking to be a pivot point to link different people, different organizations. But only in those recommendations here locally are we going to be that. But we can be central directory, not of all the directories, but we'll be able to be the resource to point them out. And that kind of a thing that can also have revenue stream from art and music and cultural shows as well as donations, as well as advertising sponsors. Doesn't need a lot of administration. It can be at a minimum. So you remember I talked about 2/3. The other third, that's what's so fun. That's money that I want to say extra. That's where normally I might run an operation. Can run an operation very streamlined so that 66, 70% more, if you will go into things for our community and world. Very lopsided from I'm going to run about money. But that money that's left over, I'm not a young kid and I don't really have much need. So that is going to be yet another foundation. These are all dreams. You've seen some of the characters here on these shows all these weeks. So this has been an unusual show. I'm sort of putting it together with the times that we're in. We're just about ready to set up a schedule to do music shows, and then we're going to do art shows. But again, until we have financing backer, people don't take us seriously. So the beginning becomes a chicken and mouse thing, or what do you do first? So we'll see how that plays out. But we're going to be doing these shows because they're going to be involving you. You know, I see guys like Eric Gilliam, and I think to myself, and Vince, well, we've seen the growth. Eric Gilliam, when we start showing Get a Job again, however that looks, you know, he was terrific in that, you know. And Willie K, who knows that Willie K could be a straight man when Willie K was the cut-up of the world, and just this guy with so much life and so much spunk. And yet in this movie, he was the straight guy. It was terrific. Get a Job. If you see it anywhere, watch it. And this other movie, Maui, also a good one. But that Get a Job one is where I first saw this guy, Brian Cohn. And I thought, oh, he's an interesting writer. And, you know, Anyway, again, we have time here. I'm going to take a moment and remind you we are on 88.5 FM, KAKU, the voice of Maui, simulcast on Akaku Maui Community Media TV, channel 55 here on Maui. You can find all our shows at MauiNeutralZone.com, and you'll see a directory there where you can look up things by code words if you want. And you'll also find everything up on YouTube and on Vimeo. We've had shows that, again, I've been doing them so long, didn't really even think about channels. And now people switch mediums, now podcasts. So who knows who goes to Maui Neutral Zone, or who knows who goes to YouTube. Things are, at least for an older guy like me, they're moving faster than I can keep up with them, you know. I want to thank you guys that have been watching this show and have listened to this. Sometimes I call them a Jason rant, but others have said to me, no, you're not. What you're doing is you're educating them. You're explaining to them what has been going on, waking them up to what the plan has been and where you want to go. And maybe they can hear that this is about you guys. It's about me only, in that I have seen this vision. I came here with technologies for solar and renewable energy and cogeneration and got involved, and people here were too used to being the way they were. And politics has been the way it is. I hope we can get the mayor on. I think he would like to probably tell you some good things from what he's been doing on his administration. This is a political year, but as long as he's not running, we can have him here. So, Mr. Mayor, I hope you will come and sit in the... It's not a hot seat. It's a seat. We did it, and we did it on Zoom during the campaign. But actually, the only people that will be on my show this year are either going to be running for president. Anyone running for president, I can have on this show. So I expect we may have Marianne Williamson, Bobby Kennedy, and Joe Biden, Donald Trump. These names sound familiar. But we could have, some other candidates, because they have the right to spend equal time on with me. And so I'm never spend more than an hour. And I think it's an open door that we should have the presidential candidates on our show. Because we are anything but neutral, but we're called the Neutral Zone. And because we're a call-in talk show, those could really be very valuable. I mean, when Bobby Kennedy and Joe Biden came here, I don't think Donald Trump came here. I don't think so. But with this fire, and they both came and saw things, what has happened since then? What kind of awareness has put us in touch with another step to solve these problems? And what do they say? Get out of the line of political speak and start being real. We just want to thank again all the people that have been helping all the people. not only in Lahaina and not only on the west side, but also helping anyone that's been affected by this wildfire and the wildfire in Kula that same day. See, we could explore lots of things, but there are other people in the world and other subjects in the world, and I hope to have, Eric and Vince and, Justin Morris, and local people, Alice Cooper, Mick Fleetwood. I can name names, but we want them here both in the studio and I keep looking at the clock because I can't see that well. But we want them both here in the studio and out in the field when we're doing art shows and music shows, for them to come and be supportive. If they want to get up on stage, they're always welcome to, but we want to open the door to them being part of the legacy that we are going to be creating, because musicians and artists and people that want to support their cultures and want to support their positive ideas to help create a better, more integrated world. That's what we are, and that's what we're doing. So when you think about peace, think about Mama. When you think about peace, think about Papa. People aligned in positive action. Or way back when, it was participatory action, patrons of the arts, because we were more focused on the music and the culture. John Scarchino, my old board member from way back when, who helped design our first quarterly magazine, the whole thing, I want to honor him. May he rest in peace. There's another piece. But this vision came not to be a new vision, We Are the World and Ken Cragen and Harry Belafonte and that whole deal. John was graphic designer working then right around there in that time with Ken. And so, you hear my background, the music business. It's long ago, but it still feels deep in my heart. And some of these guys that are now old stars, I'd met younger when they were young stars. Like when we worked on Jackson Brown's album, all I did was bring the players for the strings and the horns, but those are really very wonderful times. It really grew our personalities and our understanding of the power of media, the power of star power. I'm just making sure. I bet I don't have much time left. I think that's a 3. I hate this when it gets too close. I think I have 3 minutes and 42 seconds, something like that. I don't want to get too much up into my time clock. Anyway, I've enjoyed ranting. Not a rant. I had a wonderful time. I understood I was like Bob Newhart, the gal that runs the Peace Poems, is really very attentive to all the details and the kids. And the kids was trying to start his poem about peace, peace, and she would be there on his neck. And then he'd start again, peace. And so it was fun, and I got to be the one bringing and sharing the names. And I guess I didn't realize I am a comedian as well. I can see it says 2 minutes and 57 seconds. Well, that's good because it's time to take a rest, but it doesn't feel like an hour gone by. I am very, very happy to have you as an audience, and I want you to go digging in the archives. We're going to be moving up to another level, but that means other people. We want you to share this and share it and keep sharing it, because it's going to be creating jobs. It's going to create solutions for issues and things in your life, whether they be health, whether they be food, whether they be costs of energy, whether they be housing. And some of this, much of it is using things that we have in different ways, coupled with science that has now long been proven. Plus, we're open to improving as we go. We're going to be nothing but a happier world and a happier Maui. And I'm just really happy that I can be here with you. We got another minute and 50-something seconds. If I started thanking all the people that have helped through the years, There's just so many people that have helped me by encouraging me and keeping me smiling and remembering they are hearing me. You know, I had a guy in Costco, Frank, lives up country. He must be 70. He said, "Hey, you're that TV guy. I like what you do. I like your movement." Thank you. We are a movement. What are we? Movement toward peace and truth and working together and creating solutions for local people first, not excluding, but focusing on what can happen by elevating those that need elevation. Blessings to you all for showing up and tuning in. I'm going to turn on my phone because in 50 seconds I'm going to play my exit music. I feel like it's been a great show. Next week I have Scott Bushnell, and then I have, we'll see, and then I've got Bodie from Doorway into Light, who's also going to be talking about what's going on. 30 seconds. Well, he also had ideas for housing for now. All kinds of good stuff. So keep tuned. And remember, we love you. MauiNeutralZone.com. Blessings and aloha. Have a good week, my friends. I always appreciate that you keep tuning in. Please share it. Blessings. Aloha.